the 2024-2025 season of Ability Assistance. My name is Phyllis Jones, Chair of the North Andover Commission on Ability Assistance.
And my name is Stacy Leibowitz. I'm the Secretary of the North Andover Commission on Ability Assistance.
Today is a special episode, and the first one we're doing outside of the studio.
Oh, it's pretty exciting.
Yes, we're joining our town clerk, Dawne Warren, here at Town Hall. Welcome, Dawne.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking so much time out of your busy schedule.
This is, you want to tell people why are we busy here today at Town Hall?
So today is the first day of early voting for the presidential election, which is November 5th.
Yep.
So today we're open on Saturday from 9 to 3, and we'll be doing early voting for the next 2 weeks, including Saturday, as we lead up to this historic election.
So let me
great.
ask you, Town Hall usually is only open late on Tuesdays and closed on Fridays and obviously Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
So what are the hours going to be here at Town Hall so that people are aware of what's going on?
Sure. So during the week, it's during regular business hours. So on Monday, it's from 8 to 4:30. Tuesday, 8 to 6. Wednesday and Thursday, 8 to 4:30. And then Friday, 8 to noon. And then Saturday, next Saturday, is also the last day to register to vote. So we're going to be here from 9 to 5.
So people can come in,
Absolutely.
register, and then vote immediately?
They sure can.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
Talk about one-stop shopping.
Yeah, makes it very easy
It
and accessible
does.
for people.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you're still giving out the little I vote stickers?
Oh, of course. We are. We have lollipops for children as well.
Ooh.
Or
What about
adults,
adults?
right?
Adults.
Anybody?
My daughter Carly did her first presidential election
That's
voting
amazing.
downstairs while we were setting up, and she got her sticker
And a
lollipop.
Perfect. And you
The
know,
important things.
Exactly.
we have found, and especially today where it's just starting out, there's an excitement to the air. People are very happy to come in and vote. And so it's really exciting for me to begin this process this way, in such a positive and upbeat way. So, yeah.
How long
That's
have you
really
been with the
wonderful.
town clerk's office?
So in North Andover, I've been the town clerk for the last 3 years.
Okay.
Just over. We're pushing 3.5, but prior to that, I was the assistant town clerk in Andover and did that for 5 years. And before that, I did work at the city of Amesbury. So that's where I started my public service. And so all in all, I've been about 15 years as a public servant.
But your best job and your most
course, is
favorite
It is. Well, it's also my hometown. So I grew up.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes.
I grew up in North Andover. We moved here when I was 4. And I, came up through all of our public schools and graduated from North Andover. And now I live on the other side of town with my daughter. She's 16, and she's at the high school, and she too was born and has gone through all of the public school systems here in North Andover as well.
So you're really involved in town. You know.
Yeah, this
our
hits close
culture.
to home.
Yeah.
It really
That's
does.
great.
And I think myself and our staff takes a lot of pride in what they do. We're actually all from North Andover in the clerk's office. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's
yeah,
great.
all still living here as well. Yeah.
That's fantastic, because it means a lot, I think, to residents
Mm.
to know that not only are you doing a job, but you're
Yeah.
doing a job for the town, in the town that you live in, so
Yeah.
you've got a little more.
I'm vested.
Yeah,
I'm vested
exactly.
in the community. And I love what I do. And, being in North Andover is really special. So, yes, by far, this
great.
was one of the best decisions that I've ever made.
Now let me ask you, town clerk's office,
Sure.
what services do you provide so that if a resident goes, oh, why do I go to the town clerk?
Yeah. Well, most of the time, it's really anything. When someone calls or walks in, for some reason, they remember it's the clerk's office that can help me. And so we take a lot of different calls. We are transferring calls to other departments, so we're triaging callers.
So you're the
you know.
general switchboard.
Sometimes it feels like that, but that's okay. It gives us a lot of broad knowledge as to what happens in the town and where things go. But we are the keeper of the records. So if you think of it that way, the town clerk is responsible for recording births and deaths and marriages, and that's a decent piece of what we're responsible for. And elections, that is probably my favorite piece of the job, I have to admit. It is very fulfilling. So
Why that piece of it is your favorite piece of it?
when I was taught, Larry Murphy was my former town clerk in Andover, and he really taught me what it was to be a town clerk: fair, responsible, transparent. Those were the things that I most looked up to, and impartial, calm, steady hand. Those are the things that he taught me to, that I think will take me places in the rest of my career, especially, an election must be run fair and free, and impartially. And we,
meticulously.
super organized. We do early voting, advanced processing. We have election day, mail-in ballots, all of which require us to strictly enforce the statute. And so there are lots of processes to remember and a lot of different moving parts.
Now, when my kids were younger, I always voted by mail because by the time I got home from Boston with 2 kids, and it was a lot, so I always voted by mail, which is pre-COVID, because my kids are in their 20s and teenagers. That hurts to say. And I always used to drop off my ballot at the drop box for, like, where you might pay your water and sewer bill or whatever. Is that okay to do, or was I doing the wrong thing?
You could, because it's town election. It's mail that's coming into the office. Right now, we have 2 prominent boxes outside of town hall for election ballots or for payments or other items that need to come into town hall. The drop boxes, there's one right outside the front door, and if you're in the back parking lot, there's a second one that you can drive up to, and those are both on a 24-hour surveillance. So you can put your ballot in there with confidence.
Safely.
I have to say that is something that I find very important, especially these days, because I also I've done the mail-in ballot, and I actually drove to town hall and actually hand-delivered it, which is also an option.
Absolutely.
But knowing that those boxes are being watched gives me a little bit more of a sense of relief, because there is that concern to make sure that nothing is being tampered with, that your vote is so important that it's going to be, it will be counted.
My father actually taught me, because he was former military. He's like, you vote. I don't care who you vote for, you vote, because I was in the military and other people were in the military to give you that right to vote. So it was always important to me to fill in that ballot and know that it was being counted.
Well, there are ways that you can track your ballot now. So the Secretary of State's website is available. Be sure that you're on a website that's .gov or .us to make sure that you're in the right place. But if you were to type in a Google search for Track My Ballot and put Massachusetts, you should show up to the Secretary's website, and they'll be able to see whether it's mailed out or whether it's already received and been processed. So that's a really great tool
That is wonderful.
for people to
How quickly,
know.
Let's say I drop off my ballot today, how long will it take you to process it so that I can verify on the Secretary of the Commonwealth's office? I hate Secretary of State because we're not a state, we're a Commonwealth.
It is Secretary of the Commonwealth, actually.
Exactly.
We should be able to actually get that ballot processed right away on Monday. So what we're looking at is, to do that as swiftly as possible so that the ballots are able to be, it's really important for us to keep up with that flow. So we've got election workers who are sworn election workers with our office who are assisting with the extra ballots. So this particular election, we mailed, I think we're at 8,000 right now that are out in the stream.
That's impressive.
And we've got about, I think this morning's number was close to 2,000 back. So if you can imagine, the mailer, we're checking these boxes multiple times a day while we're here.
Yeah.
I actually did, it's a Saturday, so I did go and check it this morning to get them in the building. But we'll need to get into our state computer in order to get those ballots punched in. So whether I have time to do that today depends on how many early voters we have, but certainly by Monday you'll see that those ballots have been processed.
And it's also easy to then see that Phyllis Jones didn't vote 3 times.
Right, and there are a lot of safeguards that we have to adhere to make sure that someone doesn't have that opportunity to do that. Really, it's vote once.
Yes.
So my daughter Carly,
her ballot will already show.
Yeah.
I'll have those done today.
That's impressive.
that's
Thank you.
extremely impressive.
Yeah, thank you.
So you've been with us, this is your first presidential election with us.
Yes, a lot of preparation is going into this one, a lot of planning.
Now for people who want to vote on site on Tuesday, the 5th.
It is.
It
November
is.
5th. Yeah,
Coming
it's
up.
a big
5th.
day. Yeah, we're
coming
only
up
a couple
soon.
of weeks away.
I remember that date because I took the day off so that I can hang with you in case
Sounds
anybody
great.
needs help.
Good.
So somebody wants to come on the 5th.
Yep.
Okay. Where do they go? How do they get there? Where's the handicapped accessibility? The ballots?
Sure. So the voting takes place in our gymnasium at the high school, North Andover High School, which is at 430 Osgood Street. Luckily, there's no school that day, and so that will really make getting into the school easier without having all of the cars that normally would be there on a school day. So in that parking lot that's right outside of the gymnasium door, we've set aside 10 accessible spots, and
Which is more than normally there.
more than what is required.
Yes.
And one also that should be van accessible.
Right.
So and that will be closer to the ramp that goes up the into the school. And once you're inside, we'll have a couple of greeters there, and they will help people get to their precinct location, as well as the auto mark. So the
And you know I test that
I
one.
know every election you do, which I think is great.
And I always ask people,
Where is it?
where is it? I know where you put it,
Yeah.
but so
Somebody
that,
else might not.
exactly.
So I went through a training a couple of weeks back that the state had done, and so I've decided, or we've decided as a community, to add the second auto mark and put one at precinct 1, out just with inside of where normally
Right.
you would walk to cast your vote, and also over at precinct 8. There's a privacy that we want to be able to maintain for everyone, but I think that we'll be able to set that up in a way that it's, first of all, easy to get to. And then second of all, that follows the flow with everyone else that's voting.
And
Excellent.
that's the
that's
point.
important.
Yes.
And when I sat through the training, I thought, you can do a better job at that, and let's do that.
That's great.
So
That's
thank
great.
you.
Yeah, people want to feel like they're part of the
Yeah.
process and not
Exactly.
sticking out, number one, but also having the easy accessibility if they're in a wheelchair or have some kind of physical limitation, that it's also easy for them to get
Or
there.
even a silent disability,
Yeah.
maybe somebody is extremely anxious
Yeah.
about.
People being too close to
It-
us or
Exactly.
anything.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have a couple of wheelchairs available for people. It is a long sort of
Yes.
walk.
Yeah.
So if someone needs assistance there, we will
great.
have people on site. We'll also have fire
I'll be helping with that too.
Yes, you will. Fire and EMS will be on site. We've got 2 personnel from fire and EMS on site for this election. Usually it's 1, but with the amount of traffic that we expect to see, we'll increase that, and we'll also increase our police presence to have folks that are outside helping with traffic.
That's great.
And inside, with a presence there with extra crowds.
So in case anybody happens to be nervous for whatever reason, they know that the town is doing everything they can to ensure everybody's safety.
Absolutely.
And I think that's key for
That's
everybody.
so important.
Everybody to know.
Yeah.
So we've got voting.
We do.
We've got birth certificates, death certificates,
Marriage certificate.
marriage certificates, yep.
Can't forget
Important.
dog licensing.
Dog
That's what I'm renewing
licenses.
every single year.
Yeah, and I learned something this year when I went to go register Bobo for his
Yes.
annual license.
Yes, so if we have, animals that are assisting people, those are at no charge.
But what do they have to
great.
show in order to prove? Because
There should
anybody
be
can put
a certificate or a letter from the veterinarian or something that, is allowing us to provide you with that service, no
so
charge.
my doctor's note
Yes,
stating that
certainly.
Bobo was a
great.
service animal
Yes,
was sufficient because
course.
a doctor put their signature to it,
that's correct.
which is
That's
different
great.
from an emotional support animal,
It
which
is.
doesn't. They help in different ways, but from a legal standpoint,
I think if there's documentation that's provided to the town clerk's office, we would absolutely allow
as
You would
long as
honor
that.
it.
allow that.
That's
of course.
no, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Are there any other special perks that you offer people with disabilities?
Yes, disability. Ability, right? If we want to say if you've lived longer than age of 70 and you have an animal, there's also no charge of that.
Ooh.
So
The
that's
advantage of aging.
Ex-
and that they don't
Exactly.
have to be
That's
a
really
service
great.
animal. They
They
can
just-
just be. Of course, town hall is accessible through ramps and elevators, and we have a height for our window should someone need us for anything. We'll certainly get
I
you
will
to
say
somebody in a
something about the
wheelchair.
elevators.
They're a little slow.
No.
Oh.
It's the back entrance that I always yell at people about because it's locked
All the time.
all the
Yeah.
time. So if it's locked, you can't get to the elevator and you can't.
So they should be unlocked during regular business hours of
Okay.
town hall, or if we are open today, that should be available or accessible to people. There is a ramp out front, and so
Yes.
if they come through the door, they can go from 1 to 1A to get up into the atrium, foyer
I
area.
used that this morning because I'm
Yeah.
recovering from knee replacement. I'm using a cane. So for me, it was a good test
So
of
when
what was available.
So when it wouldn't be normal business hours, but it's the select board meeting, it's the finance
Right.
board's meeting. I know a lot, we don't use this room,
Right.
but a lot of boards and committees do use this room after hours. They can take the ramp.
Yes,
The elevator I know is if you go towards the big windows,
it's right there.
It's
it's right there.
Certainly.
Right there. Yep.
Yeah. I know. I do the same thing.
Spatial.
Exactly. So it's right there. They can take it from 1A to 1 or 1 to 1A?
1 to 1.
A.
I'm sorry, 1A to 1,
One.
and then floor 2.
2, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's good. That's good to know because a lot of people might say, oh, well, the buttons are only, now are there handicap buttons up front as well? For the doors, for the front doors?
Not in the front doors, no, but in the back there are. And you know what, that's a great question. I don't remember, I always use them in the back if my hands are full. So I know for sure, but I don't know if there are any out front.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah,
think
so it's
so.
worth
Okay.
checking on, I guess.
Yeah.
Certainly. For early voting, back to early voting, we have the auto mark set up for
Yeah.
anybody that might need that.
Yes.
On the same level as you would walk through the door. And there's a spot for someone to vote their ballot there, if there's a mobility.
Or not even
Yeah.
a mobility.
Yeah,
Because
even if you
anybody
don't
can
want
use it if they're
Anybody
more.
can use it for whatever reason. They don't check an ID.
No, they don't. They don't.
What about people who want to file business certificates?
That's another one that we do, and those our permitting system is online, which is really convenient, and it does keep the documents that we need stored very in an organized manner. So they would apply for that online. There are several stations on that main floor where someone could log in. If you don't have a computer, you could certainly do it from there. Business certificates. Another word for that would be doing business as.
DBA.
A
the
DBA,
yeah.
yes. And so, yes, anyone that owns a business that may not be in the same name as their corporate should file with the town to have one of those on file
Which
in our
is
office.
different from filing with the Secretary of the Commonwealth
Yep.
for a corp and LLC.
Right, you would do that as well, but that's not something that we are doing in the town clerk's office.
Right,
But
you'd have to go to
depending
the-
upon how you set your business up.
Yeah, you'd have to go to the Commonwealth for that.
Yep.
Yes.
Trying to think, what else was?
So I guess in addition, because we've talked about some of the paperwork,
Yes.
what are some of the other things in your capacity that you do for the town, and particularly for people who may have a variety of disabilities? Are there other things that you are involved in to support them?
Sure. Town meeting comes to mind.
Yes.
That's another big event that I work hand in hand with our town moderator, Mark DeSalvo. We again, a lot of prep and planning, goes into that
I've
event.
heard at least 6 months goes into
Yeah,
that prep
because
and
those are
planning.
huge meetings.
Well,
And depending on what's going on, there can be overflow, and since
moving
COVID,
parts, almost like an election.
yeah,
Trying to see, what you think your expected turnout would be based on, history or what a hot topic might be. So, yeah.
and also since COVID, if people want to be in a separate space and still mask up, especially maybe a population of people who might be more
Vulnerable.
susceptible or vulnerable,
Yeah.
I would imagine that's still a concern for people.
It is still a concern for people, and there are sections in, wherever that may be, whether we are in the gymnasium or whether we're in the auditorium at the high school or, outside. Where he does certainly allow for a section for people to be masked or socially distanced, and given the constraints of the room, it's always in the forefront of our minds, as well as someone that might have a sight impairment or hearing. We offer closed captioning and laptops for people to have, and it's running from TV in real time, so that they are able to vote and hear and understand.
But that's only if you're physically present.
Right. Well,
Right.
if
You can't vote when you're not physically
Physically,
present.
yeah.
You can't ask questions while you're not physically present, but you can still learn about what's going on in real time online.
I believe you can ask questions. There are people stationed to ask questions through an email.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So if you're
Mark
home,
does
you
allow
can.
for that. Or
You just can't vote.
right. The difference with town meeting is you have to be inside the walls of the meeting space in order to vote. Where in an election, I mean, they're both elections, but where a state election for an office, then you do have the ability to mail.
You have some
We
other
do offer
options.
absentee voting as well, but what is most popular for town or state or federal elections is the no excuse early voting by mail. Yeah.
Which is relatively new, isn't
Yep,
it?
it has. Yeah, it passed in 2022.
That
so
is
it
relatively
has-
new, 2 years.
Yeah, there's a lot of change very quickly.
Yeah.
A lot to learn and to perfect in terms of processing,
Yep.
and what becomes most efficient. And so now that we've had a couple of years under our belt, we get more efficient and faster.
That's
at,
great.
You
And
know,
I'm sure COVID has kind of spurred that a little bit.
was definitely the
you know,
catalyst.
just on a
Sure.
national level, I think it's done that and has reached our town level,
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
No,
So-
it's a fantastic thing
Yeah.
One of the few good
to
things
make
about.
it as accessible as humanly possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can apply for ballots online as well.
Yes,
saw
you
that.
can.
And
I've seen
there's
that.
Secretary of Commonwealth.
Yes, yeah. So it's good to see those coming through as well. And for someone who needs an accessible ballot, I can provide that to them.
That's great.
Even over email. So it's
That's amazing.
That is
That's amazing. I think
Yeah.
we've come so far.
Really.
At least here in Massachusetts. I can't speak for other states, but I think it's really shown the progress. One of the few good things that has come out of COVID, I think, because then you are helping people who, besides the social distancing and those concerns, but if they have a silent disability or some other disability where it's like, this is really challenging for me to get to point B from point A, they can mail a ballot, they can do early voting, they don't have to be in a crowd. There are options for people, which you're meeting people where they're at. So they can
That's
do their
important.
civic duty, pretty much.
right.
And one other question I have, when we go to town meeting,
Yeah.
we've got books that you give us.
Yes.
And I've noticed there are books in other languages as well, if somebody has a different language that is their primary language. Braille?
Yep, we do.
That's
they'll-
fantastic.
we just let them know to ask for it in advance. They take a long time to print.
Right, that makes sense.
Yep, but I can certainly, we have a machine that does that for us, and we can certainly provide that.
Is the same true for other languages? I mean, how many languages do you print the books in? I would imagine Spanish, just some of the ones that we're used to seeing, but are there additional ones?
And not that I'm aware of,
Okay.
but certainly if someone were to ask for
Ahead
a
of
different
time.
language, yeah, we'd do our very best to make sure that they got that.
Haitian Creole or Portuguese or whatever sort of language that,
Yep, the warrant books are mainly taken care of from the town manager's office, but we'd be happy to take any request and
As long as it's ahead
and
of
make
time, which
and make
makes
it
sense.
available.
I'm sure
That's
we
great.
would, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Have we missed anything from your office that you think we should know about?
Just that we're here for you. Yeah, so no, I think we covered it all. I really think
That's
this was a
great.
good conversation, and I'm glad to have spent some time with you.
No,
finally.
We're
I'm-
very happy
I'm
to have
thrilled that
spoken
you've
with you.
been here. I know that we've tried, excuse me, we've tried multiple times and the schedules just
Didn't mesh.
Didn't mesh.
So-
Yeah.
So probably, even though you're extremely busy today, this was a good day to like sort of corner you and get.
Well, thanks for coming to Town Hall.
Yes. No, well, thank
and
you for having
meeting me
us.
here where I was at.
Yes.
So I appreciate that.
No, this is
Absolutely.
exciting because our crew is made up of kids. 2 out of the 3 kids who are behind the camera right now are alumni from Greater Lawrence Technical School.
Excellent.
One of those kids has gone on to college as a communications major.
Perfect.
So she's learned a lot of this programming and we'll call it computer stuff behind the scenes. We've got one kid who is from another North Shore Upper Academy, which is a therapeutic day school. So we really do offer this ability. So I think this is also a great opportunity for them
Yeah.
to learn something different than what they normally use in the studio.
Right.
Perfect.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being with us today. I know your schedule's so busy, so
It
thank
was
you.
truly my pleasure. Glad to
Thank
see
Same
you.
you.
here.
Thank you.
You can reach Dawne by email at dwarren@northandoverma.gov or calling 978-688-9501. Got to make sure my spectacles are on. If you're looking for any town government office, simply visit www.northandoverma.gov and search for the office you're looking for.
We want to thank our crew this month from GLTS, alum who has kind of hung in there with us, John Kafori, Curry College, Carly Jones, who's been with us since the beginning,
Yes.
Zachary Jones from North Shore Academy. Thank you all.
Our guests are really booking fast and furious
This is amazing.
this season. You remember, Stacy, when we used to...
Oh, we were begging.
we were begging for guests. And folks are now coming to us We're already booked through our 50th episode.
So amazing.
50
So amazing.
in February.
Well, we're amazing. so.
Exactly, exactly. In November, we'll be joined by the Flutie Foundation. December, our guest is Abilities Dance, Boston. Stacey, have you ever seen that?
I have not. I've heard of them,
They
but I'm
are-
excited to be able to meet them
They
and
are.
see what they can do.
They're amazing. They're amazing. January, we'll be talking to the town's emergency management officer, among other titles. He
Yeah.
does a ton of
Very
stuff around.
relevant.
Yes.
Very relevant, especially given how things went down last year
Yeah,
in
exactly.
September.
So
we all
Jeff
remember that.
Coco is going to be joining us.
Yeah.
And our long-awaited 50th anniversary episode in February will be our annual February guest, State Senator Bruce Tarr.
Yep.
We're already looking for guests for our March through June episodes. That being said, if there are topics you'd like to explore here on Ability Assistance, we truly want to know what you want information about. Please email me directly at pjones@northandoverma.gov or call me directly, 978-494-0136.
And she will answer the phone.
Yes, I will. Or I'll call you back in a
Yes,
reasonable
yes.
amount of time. I do have a day job.
Yes.
In addition to watching through our cable stations, you can also catch all of our programs on demand. This list keeps going.
Getting
We've got
bigger and bigger.
YouTube, the Cablecast app through the Roku and Apple TV. You can also find that Cablecast app through your phone or tablet's app stores. We've got the Town of North Andover's website. They always put this up. The Commission's Facebook page. I always take the YouTube link, but I always put it up
it's on
there.
there.
Exactly. We've got North Andover CAM's website. And we've been always rolling out the audio on Podbean for the podcast.
We are literally
We
everywhere.
are
you can
literally
just
everywhere.
Google search us. I'm sure we'll come up.
Exactly. So from all of us here at Ability Assistance, thank you.